When was the last time you actually played a major expansion to a video game? With expansion, I'm referring to additional content that heavily expands on the base game to a point where it becomes nearly, if not twice, its original size. These days, developers and publishers prefer to release minor DLC bundled together with season passes. Expansions are mostly being utilized by MMORPGs and live service games to gain back the interest of their community with a large amount of fresh things to explore. It's cheaper to make DLCs over expansions. After all, why dedicate most, if not all, of your developer team to make a large amount of content when you can just sell horse armor that could have been made by literally a single person? This is why it's refreshing to see a big publisher such as Capcom choosing to do otherwise and majorly expand onto a very popular game. Today I'll do a quick review on Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Monster Hunter World is a third-person action game in which you hunt large creatures using comically oversized weapons. The game released on both Xbox One and PS4 in January 2018, with the PC version coming out half a year later. The release was a massive success, with the game receiving praise from both professional reviewers as well as the casual community. I personally reviewed the original Monster Hunter World when it came out on PS4 Pro and gave it an overall mediocre recommendation since the game had quite a few issues such as unskippable cutscenes, a bland story, long loading times and convoluted user interface. However, the combat, co-op, progression system and full passive customization made me repurchase the game on PC, which also solved the previously mentioned long loading time issue. Even with all of its problems, I spent more than 200 hours playing Monster Hunter World and was eagerly awaiting the new expansion. Now that it's out on PC, and me having completed a majority of its content, including its main story, I can confirm that it's exactly what I expected. By that I mean that I'm both very happy and a bit disappointed by it. Iceborne takes place right after the original game. The story is that the Legianas, which are bird-like wyverns, have suddenly decided to move to a completely alien-looking area. Your team is made out of scientists and explorers responsible to keep track of everything that is happening in a new world, so naturally you go out to the new area and start exploring. The story is basically about as bad as it was previously, but I have to admit that the action in all of the cutscenes is much more exciting to watch than in the base game. To go a bit more into detail, the main issue really lies with the attempt from the director to make the peddler, your traveling companion, more likable by giving her a lot of screen time and explaining her backstory. Yet all I feel when I see the peddler is my blood pressure rising as she's completely useless at everything besides getting herself into trouble, at least during cutscenes. Point is that maybe the story would have been better if they focused more on the badass hunters kicking monster butt instead of some side characters whose task it is to play bait for the player. I can also disappointingly confirm that most of the original game's issues still persist in the expansion. A good example would be that you're unable to join a person in a quest until both parties have seen a cutscene of the respective mission. Also the convoluted mess that is the user interface. Either way, that's pretty much all I can complain about because the Iceborne expansion is fantastic in every other aspect. Every monster besides the final boss of the game has received a master rank variant, increasing the difficulty of the fight by improving all of their stats and giving them new moves. Naturally, there are plenty of new additions with the expansion, keeping things fresh and interesting. Additionally, all weapons have received at least one new ability, giving the guys who have already mastered their main weapon another layer to advance in. If you're the fashionable type or love the customization, then I have good news, because there are an incredible amount of new armor sets and weapon upgrades to explore and experiment with. Playing the Iceborne expansion felt like playing through the original game for the first time. I mean this in a very positive way. It was a lot of fun to fight the new monsters and explore the new areas that have been added. Slashing and beating through all of the opponents while evading and blocking the attacks is just as satisfying as it always has been. And before I forget, there's one major addition to the combat, it's the ability to freely grapple onto the monsters whenever you want. This allows you to either lead the enemies into walls for an instant knockout, or the possibility to just do some major damage to a selected part. It's a very intuitive system that successfully adds another layer of reward to proper decision making. If you want to get a good impression of the main gameplay loop, the hunting, I would personally recommend you to look up an Iceborne gameplay video. You'll quickly understand what you can expect. The expansion offers beyond 15 hours of content, and that is excluding the side quests. That is an amazing amount of bang for your buck, especially since Capcom has promised to add a lot of additional content through free updates, as they have previously done for the base game. So do I recommend Iceborne? To answer this question, all you have to do is answer one of mine. Did you enjoy Monster Hunter World? If yes, then what the hell are you still waiting for? Go and buy Iceborne right now and have fun, you will love it. If no, then you absolutely shouldn't bother. It's more of the same for the people that want exactly that. Me personally, well, right after the completion of this review, I'm planning to go back into the game and wrap up the optional side quests. So to be clear, I love it.